Wow, that was a really good podcast about obesity. I learned a lot of new information about Georgia Tech and how it uses the facilities it has to help students conquer obesity. I wish Sam and Thomas were here so I could ask them questions about their project.
Whoa!
Y'all's podcast is really interesting. Obesity is such a interesting topic. How did y'all come up with this idea of obesity as your topic?
So we were faced with the challenge of trying to solve a grand challenge. We thought about solving it within campus. And so we were thinking about resources that we have within campus that help solve a grand challenge. And we had the idea of obesity. Obesity in general is a grand challenge that the world is facing, but it's very applicable to the Georgia Tech student and the general college student life. And so we came up about that idea, just thinking about just trying to create a general idea of how the campus solves these problems here at Georgia Tech.
Interesting. And Sam, did you learn anything from this project?
Oh, I learned tons of stuff.
Yeah, like I noticed that that you all talked a lot about the CRC and the different programs they offer. Did you know that they had that many programs?
No idea. I didn't even know about Orchid before it, which is their outdoor, recreational program.
Wow,
It's awesome. You can go skiing, do whatever with it.
that's really cool. How did y'all's production go? It seemed like it ran pretty smoothly, but did you come into any complications or scheduling issues?
Yeah, there were lots of scheduling issues because we're all pretty busy people. Other than that, we found a student pretty easily we could interview, and then the worker we found pretty easily, so everything ran pretty smoothly.
That's good. That's good. What about you, Thomas? Anything? Any comments about the production of this project?
Yeah, I definitely agree with Sam with the scheduling issues. Just that we have different schedules in general, and we do different things. But I feel that generally the filming and the teamwork was very, very effective. We didn't have any problems with each other, so it ran really smoothly in that sense.
Yeah, that's good. It seemed like from the production that it ran very smoothly. The podcast flowed smoothly. And, I mean, obviously we're all at Georgia Tech. We all have a busy workload, so I could see trying to get our group together as a difficult issue. But are you all happy with the final product?
Yeah, I am.
That's good. What about you?
Yeah, I think it does. I think it serves its purpose very well. It just helps students raise their awareness of how campus is here to help them fight the problem that obesity is, and just make them healthy in general.
For sure. There's a lot I learned from the podcast about obesity. I thought you all did a very good job about describing the issue and how Georgia Tech helps students with available resources to conquer this problem. But did this idea give you any new perspectives about obesity in general or at Georgia Tech?
Yeah, especially with the research we did, I learned a lot about where the higher rates of obesity tend to be concentrated, especially in the United States.
Yeah.
And I guess that tells you where we need to focus our efforts on trying to curb obesity.
Mm-hmm. What about you?
Yeah, before this project, I wasn't very aware of how campus was actually trying to solve obesity. I was someone very active, just in general, because of playing sports in high school and things like that. But I wasn't very aware of how that could help other students who come in with different mindsets. And I found it very informative, and that Georgia Tech can be very helpful if you know the resources available to you.
Mm-hmm. Definitely after listening to the podcast, I learned a lot more about how the CRC offers a lot of different exercises, because it's not only they offer the weight room or the exercise bikes or the treadmill, but they also offer classes to accommodate different people with different needs. Not everyone likes to go lift weights, but some people like to go ballroom dancing, or some people like to do Zumba. So I thought it was really cool about how Georgia Tech offers a lot of different programs, but also that could be translated to other universities or workplaces where they could help conquer obesity in those locations. Last question I have for you guys is, after this podcast, I was wondering, what could be done next? Do you have any ideas what future work could be done in this area, or how we can learn from Georgia Tech and apply it to other places?
So one thing that can be done is improving the diet. I think that's really vital. There was statistic we looked up that said 90% of people who lose weight gain it back. And mostly it's because they either stop exercising or they change their diet back to what it used to be. Obviously, you can't always have time to exercise, but you can always have time to have a healthy diet.
Cool.
I feel like it's still generally a grand challenge. Georgia Tech does generally a good job of having a lot of good resources. The CRC is very effective in what it does in trying to accommodate very different kinds of people. But I still feel like even though there are healthy options at dining halls, I feel like here, at least at Georgia Tech, we could also make diets more aware and nutrition to people. Just because I feel like there's a lot of people that still go and still eat pizza and things like that very often. But there's a lot of good options in healthy food, so you can take advantage of that if more awareness is raised.
I would agree. Thank you for y'all's time. It was interesting listening to your podcast. Any other comments or questions about the podcast that you'd like to tell about the development of this work?
Nope.
No? Well, thank you. It was interesting to listen to as a student at Georgia Tech.